Ever get that feeling there's more going on than meets the eye?
Mm-hmm.
Like in meetings or just, socially. You're trying to figure out the rules, but nobody actually spells them out.
Yeah, definitely. You see someone get ahead or some decision gets made and you're like, how did that happen?
Exactly. And trying to decode all that,
Yeah.
it's exhausting. So we thought, let's take a bit of a shortcut today.
We're diving into Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power. Now, look, some people see this book as kind of manipulative.
Right, like a villain's handbook or something.
Yeah, but we're approaching it more as a study, a really provocative study, maybe, of how power works between people. It's about understanding those hidden currents, whether you plan on using them or not.
Totally. And we've basically boiled down a summary of all 48 laws. These aren't just theories, right? They're based on actions, mindsets, tactics, stuff people have actually done throughout history.
Right. And the real takeaway for you listening, even for not plotting anything, is getting a framework. A way to analyze what's happening around you. Why did that person get the promotion? What's really driving this negotiation? This stuff can offer some, well, surprising answers.
So our mission today,
Mm-hmm.
pull out some of the really juicy, thought-provoking laws from the summary. Give you some insights, some mental tools maybe, without drowning you in all 48.
Sound good. Let's jump in. Law number 1, never outshine the master.
Okay, this one feels pretty foundational. What's the core idea?
It's basically about making sure the people above you, your boss, mentor, whoever, feel secure, feel superior even.
So don't show off too much.
Kind of. The summary warns that if you look too talented too quickly, you might actually make your superiors feel, well, insecure, maybe even threatened.
Huh. That's tricky, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because your instinct is often to impress, to show what you can do.
Exactly. But this law suggests a different approach. Subtly make your leaders look good, make them shine, and that helps you get ahead. It's about making them comfortable with you.
It's managing their perception of you, basically. Keep them feeling secure and they're more likely to help you later.
Precisely. It's a delicate dance, navigating those hierarchies.
Okay, makes sense. Strategic humility, almost. Now let's slip to something that sounds much harsher. Law number 2. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies.
Yeah, this one definitely raises eyebrows. It's pretty cynical, no doubt.
Why be wary of friends?
The summary argues friends are more likely to betray you, often out of envy, or maybe they feel entitled, like they don't owe you the same effort as a stranger might.
Wow. And the flip side is, hire your enemies.
Sort of. The idea is a former enemy, if you bring them into your camp, might be more loyal because they feel they have something to prove. They don't take your trust for granted.
That's counterintuitive.
It really is. The summary has this stark line. You have more to fear from friends than from enemies. Makes you really question motivations, doesn't it?
It does. And it even mentions strategically creating enemies.
Yeah, if you don't have any. The idea being that clear opposition can actually sharpen your own strategy and resolve. It's a tough one to swallow, though.
Definitely a challenging concept. Okay, moving on. Law number 3. Conceal your intentions. This sounds a bit cloak and dagger.
Huh. Yeah, it does. The core idea, according to the summary, is to keep people off balance. If they don't know what you're really after, they can't prepare to stop you.
So misdirection, like using decoys or false leads.
Exactly. Red herrings, smoke screens, all that stuff. You lead them down one path while you're actually pursuing something else entirely. By the time they figure it out.
It's too late. Surprise is key.
You got it. Control the information, control the situation. Don't let them anticipate your moves.
Okay, there's definitely a pattern of strategic thinking here. Let's talk about law number 5. So much depends on reputation guarded with your life. This feels very relevant today.
Oh, absolutely. The summary calls reputation the cornerstone of power. It can do a lot of work for you before you even enter the room, intimidating rivals, opening doors.
But it's fragile.
Incredibly fragile. Once it takes a hit, the summary says, you become really vulnerable. People will attack.
So you need to be proactive, watching out for threats.
Constantly. And be ready to defend it fiercely. The summary even talks about a pretty aggressive tactic. Destroying an enemy's reputation. Let public opinion do the dirty work.
Oof, that's playing hardball.
It is. But it underlines how much perception matters. A strong reputation is armor. A weak one is an open invitation for attacks.
Okay, now law 6 seems almost the opposite. Court attention at all cost. How does that fit with, say, not outshining the master or concealing intentions?
Ah, good question. It's about balance, I think. Law 1 is about managing attention upwards. Law 6 is about making sure you're not just invisible to everyone else.
Because being unnoticed means you have no influence.
Pretty much. The summary says what is unseen counts for nothing. You have to stand out somehow, get noticed.
Does it give examples?
Yeah, things like appearing, well, larger than life, more colorful, more mysterious than the crowd. Attach your name to things that are maybe a bit sensational. Create some buzz, some intrigue.
So it's about actively crafting a public persona that draws attention.
Right. In a noisy world, you need people to actually see you before you can influence them.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift again. Law number 9. Win through your actions, never through argument. I like the sound of this one. Fewer pointless arguments.
Yeah, we've all been in those. The summary's point is that even if you win an argument with words, you often leave behind resentment, bad feelings.
A Pyrrhic victory, right. You win the battle, lose the war.
Exactly. That resentment can cost you more in the long run. So the alternative?
Let your actions do the talking.
Precisely. Demonstrate your point. Achieve results. Get agreement by showing, not just explaining or debating. People are usually more convinced by what they see you do.
Actions speak louder than words. A classic for a reason, I guess.
Hmm.
Okay, law 10 is interesting. Infection. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky. Sounds almost superstitious.
It does have that vibe, yeah. But the summary frames it in terms of, like, emotional contagion.
Meaning negativity rubs off.
Basically, yes.
Yeah.
It says emotional states can be infectious, and associating too closely with people who are constantly down on their luck or just miserable, well, the summary claims you risk drawing that misfortune onto yourself.
Wow. It actually said they'll draw misfortune onto you.
Yep. The unfortunate sometimes draw misfortune on themselves. They will also draw it on you. Pretty blunt.
So the advice is, stick with the winners. Associate with happy, successful people.
That's the gist. It's a strong take on how much your environment and associations can impact your own energy and trajectory. Protect your own state of mind, essentially.
Okay, let's look at Law 12. Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. Victim? That's telling.
Yeah, the language is quite stark. This is a purely strategic law. The idea is that one single, sincere-seeming act of honesty or a well-timed gesture of generosity
Can make someone trust you, lower their guard.
Exactly. Even if someone is naturally suspicious, a calculated, kind act can make them think, okay, maybe this person isn't so bad.
And once their guard is down,
Then, the summary implies they're easier to manipulate or deceive in other ways. It calls a timely gift a Trojan horse. Looks good, but has a hidden agenda.
creating a false sense of security that's
Yeah,
quite manipulative.
it absolutely is. It's about using apparent openness to mask deeper intentions.
All right, Law 16. Use absence to increase respect and honor. This feels relevant in our always-on 247 world.
Totally. The summary argues that if you're always around, always available, people start taking you for granted. Your value decreases. Familiarity breeds contempt, maybe.
So stepping back sometimes makes people appreciate you more.
That's the idea. Strategic withdrawal. If you disappear for a bit, people might talk about you more, wonder where you are. When you return, your presence feels more significant.
Creating value through scarcity, like a limited edition product.
Yeah, kind of. It's about managing your visibility. Knowing when to leave the stage, let people miss you a little. It makes your reappearance more impactful. Less is more, sometimes.
Okay, Law 17 brings back the unpredictability theme. Keep others in suspended terror. Cultivate an air of unpredictability. Suspended terror sounds intense.
It's definitely dramatic language. The thinking is, humans crave patterns. We feel comfortable when we can predict how others will behave. It gives us a sense of control.
So if you're deliberately unpredictable,
You take away that sense of control, you keep them guessing, constantly off balance, trying to figure you out. The summary suggests this is unnerving, even intimidating.
because they never know what you'll do next.
Exactly. It's mentally taxing for them and gives you a psychological edge. Extreme unpredictability can be a form of power.
Keeping people on their toes, to put it mildly. Okay, Law 28 feels more straightforward. Interaction with boldness.
Yes. This one is about decisiveness. The summary argues that hesitation, doubt, second guessing, they infect your actions and undermine your success. Timidity is dangerous.
So better to be bold, even if you make mistakes.
That's the core message. The summary actually says mistakes made with audacity can often be corrected with more audacity. People admire boldness, apparently, while timidity gets ignored.
Project confidence. Even fake it till you make it.
Seems to be the idea. Boldness creates its own momentum. It can inspire confidence in others and make things happen. It's about overcoming that fear of failure through sheer force of will.
Got it. Now, Law 29 looks ahead. Plan all the way to the end. It's not enough to just start strong.
Right. The ending is everything, according to the summary. You need to think through all the potential consequences, the obstacles, the twists and turns that might happen.
Why? To avoid surprises.
Partly. It's also about ensuring you get the credit, and that things conclude the way you intend. Planning to the end means you're less likely to be overwhelmed by events or have someone else steal your thunder at the last minute.
So it gives you control over the final outcome and helps you know when to stop when the goal is actually achieved.
Exactly. Strategic foresight. Thinking several steps ahead, having contingency plans. It allows you to navigate complexities and stick the landing.
Okay, last one we'll cover. Law 48. Assumed formlessness. This sounds almost philosophical.
It does, doesn't it? Like something out of martial arts. The idea is that having a fixed plan, a predictable shape, makes you vulnerable, easy to target.
So be like water, adaptable.
Precisely. Be fluid, constantly changing, impossible to pin down. The summary advises embracing uncertainty, accepting that everything is in flux, don't present a solid target.
Be adaptable, always moving.
Yeah. It's about resilience through flexibility. If you're formless, opponents can't anticipate you, can't find a weakness to exploit as easily.
Wow. Okay, that was quite a tour through some of these laws. Definitely gives you a lot to think about.
It really does. Coming up for air now, it's clear these principles, they offer a really unique lens on how influence works. Sometimes unsettling, maybe, but definitely illuminating.
And what's striking is how you can start to, spot these dynamics playing out. In the office, maybe in negotiations, even just watching the news.
Right. You see someone navigate a tricky situation smoothly, or a power shift happen unexpectedly. Having these laws in mind gives you a possible framework for understanding why. It helps decode things.
Absolutely. And look, whether you personally decide to use these kinds of tactics, that's up to you, right? But just understanding them can make you navigate situations more effectively, with more awareness.
You see the game being played, even if you choose different rules for yourself.
Exactly. So maybe here's a final thought for you to chew on. Knowing that these dynamics, these subtle, sometimes not so subtle power plays are likely happening around you, how does that change how you view your own interactions?
Yeah, and which of these laws really jumped out at you? Which one felt particularly, I don't know, surprising or even uncomfortable? Thinking about why it felt that way could be pretty revealing, too.
There's definitely more to explore if this caught your interest. The book itself, other analyses.
This deep dive was really just scratching the surface.
Well, thanks for joining us on this exploration. We hope it gave you some valuable stuff to think about as you navigate your own world.